Sarah Jane Smith was a companion of both the third and fourth Doctors, as portrayed by Elizabeth Sladen. Although she left the series after 3.5 seasons, she did return to the role several times over the years. The most prominent time she returned, before her appearance in the 10th Doctor episode School Reunion, was in the special one-off episode aired on the 28th of December 1981, which was an attempt by the BBC to produce a spin-off of Doctor Who. In this case, the series was titled K9 and Company, and the episode itself was titled as A Girl's Best Friend, but the series was not commissioned, so this was the only episode produced. The episode introduced the K9 Mark III unit and a companion for Sarah Jane, Brendan Richards, who was a ward of Sarah Jane's aunt, Dr. Lavinia Smith. It would be over 2 decades later when Elizabeth Sladen would return to the role again, when Big Finish Productions commissioned their own spin-off series focusing on the life of Sarah Jane years after she travelled with the Doctor. The self-titled Sarah Jane Smith audio series ran for 2 seasons, the first released in 2002, the second in 2006, each focusing on an aspect of how Sarah Jane's time with the Doctor would come back to haunt her in the present. The first episode, Comeback, sets the scene for both the arc and settings of the first season. The events of A Girl's Best Friend are referenced and explained away, as Sarah is coming to terms with the recent death of Lavinia, Brendan being away working in the US, and K9 having broken down. She inherits all of Lavinia's property and patents, giving her a great deal of financial independence. But unseen enemies have been working against her, which ultimately leads her to her losing her job and credibility as an investigative journalist for Planet 3 Broadcasting. When we first see Sarah after the funeral, she is working under an assumed name at a bank, trying to track down leads as to who set her up. Here she meets Joshua Townsend, a young man sent to keep an eye on her by a mutual friend, Ellie Martin. It is from Ellie that Josh develops the annoying habit of addressing Sarah as SJ, which she vehemently attempts to get him to stop. Circumstances throw the two together as they both work to try and uncover the identity of the people who have worked hard to destroy Sarah's career, and in this effort they are aided by Natalie Redfern. A former co-worker of Sarah's at Planet 3, Natalie was the only one to stick by Sarah during the scandal, and both she and Josh work well together in using their skills to help Sarah out. Natalie is a whiz with computers and easily sets up the various identities Sarah needs to keep herself hidden as she works, while Josh provides the muscle in their investigations. But the last few years have made Sarah jaded and slow to trust, keeping things to herself, which drives a wedge in her relationships with her 2 close friends. Together they solve the various mysteries that cross their paths, ranging from genetic experiments in a small English village, dark sorcery at a celebrity health farm, uncovering illegal germ warfare tests in the underground, and ghostly visits in a Romanian village before she finally uncovers the truth. Years ago, just after the Doctor regenerated into his 4th incarnation, he and Sarah unmasked an effort by a group called the Scientific Reform Society to cause a nuclear holocaust in order for their so-called elite to take over the world. The group was led by Hilda Winters, and although defeated, Winters spent her 15 years imprisonment planning revenge against Sarah. It was her and her agents that set up Sarah with a false story in order to discredit her, before ultimately planning on using her as a scapegoat for their new plans. Together, Sarah, Josh and Natalie managed to end their efforts and finally clear Sarah's name. The second season, set 2 years later, where Sarah is now trying to lead a normal life, introduces the character of Will Sullivan, brother of Harry Sullivan, who travelled with Sarah and the 4th Doctor for a while. He seemingly meets Sarah by happenstance when Sarah attends a yearly meal that she and Harry used to do, although by this point Harry has been missing for some time despite Sarah's hopes. Josh takes an instant dislike to Will, much to Sarah's annoyance, but it proves well founded in the end. The arc of this season deals with the apparent prophecy that Sarah is the herald of an obscure religious cult, the Orbis Prostremo, that split into 2 factions, the White Chapter and Crimson Chapter. Both believe that aliens have affected the course of human development, an assertion Sarah knows to be true but can't comment on, but whereas the White Chapter believes they are benevolent, the Crimson Chapter believes they intend to wipe humanity out. Over the course of the season, Sarah, despite her claims she is not the Herald, soon finds the Crimson Chapter mean business when various attempts on her life are made, both in Florence and in Antarctica. She visits the latter to see Will, who is working on an environmental study that she has given money to, and references her previous visit there with the 4th Doctor in the episode The Seeds of Doom. When she goes on the offensive after these attempts to kill her, she soon finds out more answers than she wanted, when she is given proof that she is the Herald, as a consequence of a conversation she had with an Italian duke she met while travelling with the Doctor. Although they are able to stop the Crimson Chapter's attempt to prove their beliefs by engineering their own Armageddon, the experience is almost too much for Sarah to take. When it is revealed that not only was Will a member of the Crimson Chapter sent to kill her, but that Josh was himself a member of the White Chapter sent to protect her, she finds herself at a crossroads. Throughout the season, various news reports have been heard documenting the build-up to the first civilian space tourism flight, and Josh's father, the head of the White Chapter, invites Sarah, Josh and Natalie to attend. After some soul-searching, Sarah accepts and ends up on the actual flight alongside Josh, while Natalie serves in mission control. But the flight is sabotaged when the pilot reveals himself as a member of the Crimson Chapter. With Josh dying as a result of a gunshot wound and Sarah running out of oxygen, the series ended on a cliffhanger. The series ended because Sladen then went on to appear in the relaunched series of Who, before then going on to star in her own live-action spin-off, The Sarah Jane Adventures, which meant Big Finish had to end their audio series on that unresolved ending. As with all Big Finish work, its place in the canon of Who is debatable, but there is nothing to suggest that the two cannot coexist. Whereas her live-action show has Sarah Jane acting more along the lines of her mentor, the Doctor, complete with sonic lipstick and a fully functioning canine, the audio series has her more basic and down-to-earth, using her wits and skills to survive, which is why it stands out on its own and deserves a listen.